Yeah, it's too many. Hello, and welcome to the Stream Team Podcast. For those of you that are new here, I'm your host, Max Poston, and welcome to the only podcast where we talk about streaming channels, their content, and the future of television as we know it. Today I'm joined by my guest, Alex Shaw. Alex is a London-based stage actor who is here to share his thoughts on how the increase of streaming services are going to benefit his line of work. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Max. It's great to be here.
Alex, the pleasure's all mine. Now, if you don't mind, why don't we get into it?
Sounds good to me.
No doubt, no doubt. For the listeners at home who have ever heard this sound, then you have consumed Netflix's original content. For those of you at home who don't have a large knowledge of the streaming wars, as the mainstream media have dubbed it, I'll explain it simply. Basically, in 2013, Netflix started producing their own content for their then semi-popular streaming service. The idea behind them making their own content would be that it would be exclusive to only Netflix users. And if word got out that Netflix are creating premium content that could only be accessed by the service's monthly subscribers, there would obviously be a large increase in the platform subscribers. They saw this bump in subscribers from House of Cards, and then creating huge amounts of content in the form of TV shows and movies to attract all different types of target demographics. Soon after that, companies such as Amazon and YouTube tried to recreate the success that Netflix made by creating their own streaming services and their own content.
And now that Disney and Apple have made their own streaming services exclusively showing their own content, we've got a real stream.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on this week's episode of The Stream Team, with some additional commentary of how this increase of streaming services and their arms race to make more content is going to positively affect actors based in England.
That's absolutely right, Max.
So Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about this increase and how it's going to benefit people in your line of work?
Well, because Netflix saw a gap in both British and American markets for premium streamable British content, they went on to create hugely popular shows with British casts, locations, and production teams.
And at least from what I've heard, they originally collaborated on this early British content with the BBC so they could get a better understanding of the market that they were trying to break into from a production company with a large background in Britain.
True. Oh, I'm pretty sure Netflix co-produced Bodyguard with BBC, which went on to win a Golden Globe, actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and since companies such as Amazon, YouTube, and Apple were already trying to copy Netflix's success by creating their own streaming services and content, they most likely continue to copy Netflix by trying to make British content. This combined with all of these companies creating huge amounts of content regardless, essentially results in a gold rush for British actors, production teams, and studios.
So have you gotten any job offers?
Well, as Disney right now are trying to get subscribers by focusing on producing content that's based on popular properties that they already own.
Oh yeah, that's why the only shows they've made on the platform so far are The Mandalorian. To cater to Star Wars fans and those Marvel shows like Loki, Wanda and Vision, and Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Yeah, you're right. Because the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars properties that Disney own are extremely successful, it would make sense for them as a company to produce content that already has a dedicated fan base, instead of investing in content that no one would know and therefore try it first.
And by creating a culture in which fans feel like they're missing out in the MCU if they miss one detail in a movie, and because it has such a large audience of people, it's pretty genius of Disney to create content for the same universe that people can only access if they pay the company monthly.
Oh, I agree. So Disney will most likely be expanding into British content and creating new fan bases sometime in the next 2 years, probably as they are currently trying to build up their amount of subscribers.
But the amount of content these companies are producing is still evident from the amount Netflix have been spending on content these past few years.
What do you mean?
According to Netflix, they spent something like $12 billion on content in 2018, and they didn't release anything, but analysts say that they spent $15 billion in 2019. Just for context, HBO, a show that made things like Game of Thrones, they spent about $4 billion in 2018.
That's all.
Yeah, so you can definitely see from the amount of money Netflix are spending on content and how other companies are trying to copy their success, there's a real arms race of content to get the most amount of subscribers.
So, to put it simply, Disney isn't going to be building new franchises or property for the next year.
Most likely, yes. By the way, Alex, before I forget, would you mind if I bring up a quote you made recently in the newspaper New England?
Yeah, sure.
To circle back to what you were talking about earlier regarding more British content being made for streaming platforms, you said in a recent article, it feels like a third British invasion of America. Could you just develop on what you meant for that for our listeners at home?
Yeah, no problem. So, um, no problem. So, as you can see with the Netflix show Sex Education, there's sort of like a real gap in the market, as we've been talking about, for
Yeah.
some British content infused with sort of American style movie making. As a result, you see an American/British high school in Sex Education. What Americans want, from what I can see as an actor and as an avid film viewer, is that Americans want British content.
British content, but in an American sort of style.
Exactly. So it's familiar with them, but it's also engaging with that sort of niche market that they know attracts customers. And so yeah, third.
Yeah, so like
British
in British,
invasion of America.
like in the
Beatles
show.
Mark II.
Yeah, so like in the show, there's a lot of. I think they filmed in like L.A. and it's like really sunny, but in reality, if you look outside, it's nothing like that.
Exactly.
Hey. Anyway, thank you for that, Alex. Now, for an awkward transition, how about you tell us your thoughts on who you think is going to win the streaming wars? What
How do you mean?
do you mean? Well, at this point, there are just way too many companies offering streaming services, and there are going to be winners and there are going to be losers.
In that case, I'd probably say, yeah, I think that's quite accurate.
Yeah, but who do you think is going to win?
Probably Netflix. Netflix has already been on top.
It's already been on top.
And I think they've got the resources and they've got a better control over the market. Well, I guess Amazon's with them on quite a similar sort of level, but
yeah, but obviously Netflix just have their streaming services.
And Netflix have the name, I think, as well, and they've got a better. I think they've got a better website. So I think, and better customer
aesthetic
relations.
has a lot to do with it, but obviously it's mainly about the content, right?
Yeah, I think they produce better content and they're
Yeah,
faster at
okay.
putting it out. So yeah,
Right.
no, I'd say Netflix.
Sure. No, but like the way I'm seeing it is like Netflix just have the streaming service. Obviously, you have these other trillion-dollar companies like Apple and Amazon and Disney that already have a lot of content that they own, particularly Disney, that people already like. Now they're building on that. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about.
Well, Netflix have created franchises. As you can see with the whole Stranger Things thing, that can be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
franchise. They were talking about at one point even, expanding that. So I don't know. I think if you can make a franchise, you can build on that. I think Netflix would be just as successful.
Yeah, okay, fine, in that case. Not what I was going to say. I don't think I could narrow it down to just one because Netflix have already been in the game for so long, but Disney just posed such a large threat to them. I think the way it's going on down is that the two companies are going to be in a bidding war with each other, trying to outspend the other, and then for years, ultimately resulting in Netflix having more original content than is economically responsible for them, and potentially even going bankrupt. Yeah, it's true.
That's not true.
What do you mean?
How are they going to go bankrupt?
Their most streamable show, The Office, US, it's
Yeah.
going back onto NBC. So people say that their stock is going to fall 13% in 2021. Like when that goes.
But you're also forgetting that with every project they release and every successful project, given their track record, their stock will go up again. So I don't understand.
Yeah, I understand
how they
that. I
can go
understand like
bankrupt.
shows like Stranger Things, but like honestly, have you seen the amount of content they made? And if you find the percentage of that is actually successful, there's a very thin line.
Okay, but you can't deny they've got a formula for success. You
Yeah,
can't
throw
deny
money
that.
and something will stick inevitably.
But you can't. Yeah, but you can't deny that the reason they're at the top is because of how well they're doing.
Yeah, because they greenlight everything. Like if you look at studios like Disney, have you seen something that's like tragically failed with Disney?
Yeah.
What?
Well, apparently the Mulan film is failed. It's got 0 Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb.
really?
Yeah.
It's still gonna make
Disney,
money.
but hold
It's
on.
gonna make
What you're saying could actually, how Netflix just like bomb out loads and loads of content, and
They do,
some
yeah.
of it
And
doesn't
a lot of
hit.
it's weird.
Hold on,
Yeah.
and a lot
Yeah,
of it
okay.
doesn't hit.
Fine.
Well, you could say the same thing about Disney. How many films do they release every year that bombs?
Didn't they make like $4 billion movies in the last year alone?
Yeah, but
Like
a lot.
Toy Story,
But some of the stuff,
Star Wars.
they
Avengers.
release as well bombs as well. Well, okay, get rid of the whole Avengers thing. Disney, obviously
I don't think
that's a gold
I
mine
think it's
for whatever
impossible.
you do.
I think you could, if Captain Marvel made money, anything can make money.
I think, but what I'm trying to say is that production companies and they release loads of things and not all of it's gonna hit, and they know that anyway. They're prepared for it. I think Netflix is equally prepared for that as well.
Yeah, I understand. All right, fine, but but you do have to weird. A lot of the things that they create is very unconventional. It doesn't really go to the script of what is successful in Hollywood. Like one of their biggest shows is about a talking horse.
Oh.
Like granted, it has
That
great.
does very well.
I know it does really well, but that a lot of these companies can't economically like experiment and hope that things do
I
as well
think
as
they
BoJack
have.
Horseman.
I think they have.
No, they're going to.
Sex education is
It doesn't
something
confirm, but
so different.
It is
so
very different.
original.
And so it's like Big Mouth
original
and things like
yeah,
that.
no, but it's original in the sense that
Like
it
we
doesn't
haven't really seen big things like that before.
from Netflix.
No, from anyone.
I don't know. I think Netflix have changed the game with the content they've put out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they do well doing it. So I don't know what you're
But
talking.
I'm saying it would be smart for companies to play it safe for the next few years.
If you play it safe,
No,
then
like
people
for
are
the
gonna
next few
find it
years
boring.
to build up your subscribers.
If
Yeah.
anything, like what you said with the Apple streaming services and Disney Plus really coming to the forefront now.
Yeah, they're playing.
They're-
They're playing it safe.
You can't. How can you play it safe? Otherwise, you're going to be out of your position on the market.
No, because they're playing it safe by making high quality content with like big actors like I don't know with Apple particularly they have the morning show that won something.
They have
and
Willem Dafoe as well.
What?
They have like a Willem Dafoe sort of movie with a dog, whatever that's about.
I don't know,
But
and they also have
It's not. I don't think. I wouldn't
like
say
the
that's
creator
playing
of-
it safe.
No, but like by making content that has big name actors that people are gonna see that they have to subscribe to you to see that builds up your subscribers, and then you can branch out, make smaller a large volume of smaller shows with odder concepts with not big name casts.
And I still think you can't really be playing it safe if you're still putting loads
Like
of money.
Stranger Things' biggest
To have
actor is Winona Ryder. Like still pretty big, but like
Not many people, but Stranger Things is for a predominantly sort of younger audience, people who wouldn't know who Winona Ryder was.
exactly. So it was like a bit of a gamble casting her.
I
But like, they have made breakout stars from that show. Like all the kids are superstars now.
I don't think what I was saying. I don't think even with big name actors it's playing it safe because you still have to pay them a massive salary.
Yeah,
And
I
if that bombs, then that means it's it's still going to be it's still a risk. It's not playing it safe. If anything, if companies play it safe, then they're screwed.
Yeah,
They are screwed with the new competition coming to the market. If Amazon
definitely.
don't release anything, if Amazon don't do well, they're screwed. They're all screwed.
yeah, but Amazon are kind of starting to plateau in the subscribers that are coming. So that's the point. Yeah. Anyway. So it just shows a lot of companies don't really want to end up like these new companies. They don't want to end up with services such as College Humor or Vimeo. Because they tried to make their own streaming services and they just basically failed. So I think both companies just want to attract all kinds of viewers rather than just having one breakout show or movie that attracts only one type of customer. You can see this from like companies that have previously tried to copy Netflix's success and failed. Failed. Like have you heard of Vimeo? They had like one show, Lonely and Horny.
I've never heard of that.
Alright, well, basically, yeah, okay, fine. Vimeo is basically YouTube for like art majors.
Oh no, yeah, I know what.
Yeah, and you know Vimeo. Okay, you don't know Lonely. Okay, Lonely and Horny.
I didn't know they did like
Lonely and Horny was like their big show, which starred the internet comedians Jake and Amir. You know that?
No.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, they were like College Humor. Anyway, the service ended up getting axed, and the show never got renewed for a second season by Vimeo, but rather by the duo's previous company, College Humor, which ended up making a streaming service last year.
Yeah, I know about College Humor, but I didn't know they made a streaming service.
And you probably never will because College Humor went bankrupt because of it.
Well, are there any other like companies that tried to copy Netflix but ended up only making, pouring all their assets into one thing and failing?
Yeah, there's Yahoo, which made the 6th season of Community. You know Community?
I know Community, but
Yeah, but
wait, Yahoo are making Community now? That was
they
done
made
by the
the
Russo brothers?
They made the 6th season.
But it was
They-
the
but
Russo
they-
brothers.
It was, and they made the 6th season like 2015. But Yahoo, I think it was called Yahoo Watch or something. They went bankrupt.
Did the Russo brothers direct that as well.
I think they maybe a few episodes. Anyway, and before you ask, yeah, there's also Crackle.
Crackle.
Yeah, which was only available in the States, so they couldn't really make a big international audience, obviously, because it would have cost too much. And they made a movie called Mad Families with Charlie Sheen.
Oh, yeah.
Not that great. And also there's YouTube, which is interesting.
I swear YouTube originals like still exist. I see ads for it like all the time.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still exists, but it still exists, but what was going to be their original formula didn't work, so they were really lucky to invest in alternative content such as Cobra Kai.
And I'm assuming that their original formula was to make the majority of their content with already well-established YouTube content creators.
Exactly. So in their heads, they're thinking that people already use their platform, people already watch these hugely popular content creators, so why not pay a monthly fee for premium content featuring their favorite creators and get no ads on their normal YouTube videos?
So what happened?
They didn't account for YouTube celebrities changing in the public eye so quickly. So, for example, Logan Paul made a few originals with YouTube, but then that Suicide Force thing happened, and all of his lined-up projects got canceled. Something similar happened when the PewDiePie Nazi controversy, like he dressed up. That happened a few years ago, and the show didn't get renewed for a second season.
So how does Cobra Kai fit into all of this?
Cobra Kai is basically a continuation from the original Karate Kid movies from the 80s with its original actors. Also, Will Smith bought into it because Jaden Smith was in the remake, so he's a producer. Yeah. So
that was sweet.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So it's easily the platform's most successful show, and you know how users have to pay a monthly fee to get YouTube Premium's original programming. Mm. Well, basically, because of the popularity of Cobra Kai, YouTube offered Cobra Kai for free for all of its users for a few months after season 2 was released. I'm assuming that's probably because they realized that they could continue to make a profit from the show regardless if users paid for the streaming service or not. Probably because they run ads on the episodes, meaning YouTube continues to get revenue every time the show got streamed.
And they're not doing this with any of their other originals?
Nah.
So, in short, despite having one successful show, streaming services would probably not want to end up in the position YouTube is in.
Nah, definitely not. And because Netflix have poured billions of dollars into their content, they've created an endless list of award-winning / popular titles. To name a few: Stranger Things, Master of None, House of Cards, Arrested Development, American Vandal, Uncut Gems. I have these on the list.
Ooh, I love that film.
Uncut Gems?
Yeah.
I have the poster in my room.
Really?
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Do you like Good Time?
Good? What do you mean? Oh, yeah, with Robert Pattinson. Yeah, it was awesome.
I was about to
that was really good, yeah. So, and honestly, it would take hours just to name the originals that I've seen and liked.
Yeah, and because of the vast amount of award-winning content that Netflix has produced and the amount of subscribers they have gotten in the process, it seems like every company that even has a minuscule amount to do with tech is making their own content for their own streaming platforms.
Honestly, I really wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk announced that Tesla would be making an award-winning content exclusive to Tesla owners that could only be viewed in those iPad things in their cars.
Coming in 2022, Tesla View.
That's actually, I bet you that's going to be a thing. Right. If you can successfully sell the idea to him, I want some sort of payout, and the listeners are the witnesses.
I'll see you in court then, mate.
And with that, I'd like to thank my guest, Alex Shaw, once again for being on this week's episode of Stream Team.
Well, thank you very much.
True. Tune in next week, and I'm gonna redo that.
Yeah, I think.
Uncut version.
Oh, we're not doing the whole thing again?
No. Tune in next week when my next guest host and I will be reviewing the Amazon Prime series, The Boys.
I love that film.
You like The Boys?
I love The Boys.
Yeah, it's too many.